Hey guys, welcome to the My Camp podcast. I am your host, Courtney Ortiz, and you are joining me live here today in the Girls HC. And I'm really excited to introduce my brand new camp friend, Jud Millar from Stone Mountain Adventures, which is located in central Pennsylvania. So welcome, Jud. Before I even ask you a question, I'm just so intrigued by your Zoom background. What is this? Tell me about this place.
Yeah, so this is a 220-year-old farmhouse where my family and I live, and is also sort of the main lodge of camp. The dining hall is no longer in this house. But it used to be back in the day. But our staff offices and the bathrooms are in this house. And if you look really closely, you can see, I guess my head's in the wrong spot. At one point, we had the whole camp on the front porch. And so about 60 campers, and the front porch held up. So that was a good thing.
I was just thinking, darn, you don't have the dining hall in your home anymore. I'm sure that was like a really tough thing to give up. But so I can't wait to learn. I have so many questions just to even like start talking about Stone Mountain Adventure. But before that, like, what's your camp story? Everybody has a really good origin story as adults working in the camp world. So
For
come on,
sure.
Jud,
So
tell me a tale.
yeah, so my parents started Stone Mountain Adventures in 1983 when I was 10 years old, in this house that's right behind me. And yeah, my stepfather, James Houldin, who goes by Biff, started and ran Longacre Farm Camp in the Harrisburg area, and then came to be with us. And my mom at the time was running a therapeutic riding program for people with disabilities. And he came and sort of joined our family, and said, wow, this is a great place for a summer camp. My mom was like, a summer camp? Well, how does that work? And he's like, well, we'll build some cabins over here, and we'll put an addition on the house, and that'll become the dining hall. And she was like, sure, sounds great.
Easy, little magic, some water, poof.
Yeah. So the very next year we had a summer camp, and it was like the coolest thing ever for my family and I. So we grew up, I'm the oldest of 5 boys. We all grew up at camp together. And so that was, 1983 is when we began the camp. Actually, the first couple of years, the name of our farm was Horsepower Farm. And so we were called Horsepower Adventures for the first 3 or 4 years. And then we did a name change because we do a lot more than just horseback riding. And so we have our largest mountain nearby is called Stone Mountain. So we became Stone Mountain Adventures.
You know, I meet a lot of people who grew up in camp because their grandparents started it, right? And they were born into it. So here you are, 10 years old, going, oh, we're going to start a camp? Like,
Sure.
did that like blow your little 10-year-old mind to just like all of a sudden, was it like all of your friends? Like, we're just going to have all of Jud's best friends come and like spend the summer.
No, it was actually quite different. So, most of the kids that come to Stone Mountain Adventures aren't local to our area. We're in central Pennsylvania near Penn State University. Most of our kids, we do get lots of folks from Pennsylvania, but Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, New York City, Washington, D.C. But it was remarkable. In the past, summers had been fun, but it had just been our family, and my mom runs a therapy. We always had horses, so we were never on big vacations or anything because we always had the horses to take care of. So suddenly, that first summer, I think we had 25, we did 2 4-week sessions in the 80s and back in the day. And so I think we had like 26 kids the first session, 18 the second session, 3 cabins. And it was just, it was so cool, like to have like all these amazing kids at camp for this whole summer.
Yeah, like you could never say you were bored ever again.
No,
all right, your mom would be like, get out of my face. Okay, look what we made for you and your brothers. So I think one of the things that makes Stone Mountain Adventure so unique is that it is very small, or can we rather say like it's very intimate. Was it, you served 60 kids at a time, right? Your sessions,
right.
60
so
kids.
We do, go ahead.
And ages 12 to 16, so you're a teen camp. Has it
Yep.
always been like that age group, or did you just kind of
Yep.
feel like this is our sweet spot?
It's always kind of been that age group. That was a similar age group that that my father had worked with at Longacre Farm Camp. And it's just a really great age. As far as, they're kind of like middle school, early high school. They're not too cool for school. They're old enough that they can go whitewater rafting and rock climbing and mountain biking and do camping overnights, and sort of think on a little bit of a higher level, but they're still really excitable. And so it's a great age group.
Because I know at the camp that I am at over the summer at my camp, we do
Right.
also serve like a younger population, and I know 8 and 9 year olds have their own set of issues as compared to
Sure.
like someone who is 12.
Yep.
So which kind of brings me back to the photo when you talked about the dining hall being in your home. It's easier to do those kinds of things when you have such a small, intimate group of campers, 60 campers. So what's your staff? How many staff do you have?
We do 16 full-time camp counselors. I know.
I mean, it's really it's I can't even imagine it, but it's got to be so special. One of the
Oh,
things
it's
that
great.
in the videos
Yeah.
the kids were saying, like, everybody, I know everybody, and even the
Yeah.
counselors you get to really know everybody, and you offer different lengths of sessions. So tell me, what kind of sessions do you offer?
So we do 4 2-week sessions, and I would say about half of our campers stay for a month. Half of our campers do 2 sessions and stay for a month. There's always that balance with session lengths between marketing and programming. I believe that longer sessions have more of a greater impact on youth and kids. But you got to be able to fill your camp. And so 4 2-week sessions has kind of been the magic number for us of late. And it parents think they want some shorter sessions, but once they get here, they wish they could stay longer, which works out. But we have found that we can definitely find the magic of summer camp in a 2-week session, especially given our size, and all the activities that we offer.
Right. So talk me through then. Do you have any kids that stay all summer, like that do the 8 weeks?
We have one, usually not. We have one this summer so far.
Okay. Okay.
We get to know those kids really well.
Oh, it's like, yes. So talk to me, what's a typical day like at Stone Mountain Adventures?
Well, no day is typical, of course.
Oh, right. Excuse me.
Just kidding.
What's a Tuesday like at camp?
Tuesday. So, we do a staff meeting every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. So staff are up an hour before the kids. We meet in the dining hall. We all have breakfast together and drink lots of coffee and tea and get ready for the day. We review the past 24 hours and make a plan for the next 24 hours during our staff meeting. Wake up for the campers is at 8 a.m. And so from 8 to 8:30 is brush your teeth, get ready for the day, have breakfast. At 8:30, you meet with your crew and usually play a quick little game. And then each crew has a chore that they do each morning. Not a huge part of camp, only takes about 15 minutes. We play loud music and dance around and do the dishes or help clean the tables off in the dining room or weed the garden. Again, not a huge part of our day, but philosophically really important that we all chip in and work together, and just there's that communal, we're all in this together. Morning activity, then kids are off to their cabins to get ready for their morning activity. Morning activity goes from 9 until 12, so a 3-hour window in the morning. Which is a good chunk of time. Lunch is at 12:30. Afternoon activity begins at 1:30 and goes to 5:30. So a 4-hour window in the afternoon. So, big canoe trips or, rock climbing, wakeboarding, water skiing, all the fun stuff. And then we have an hour of free time called the Power Hour of Freedom. Every day from 5:30 to 6:30. We have a game room and a music studio and a basketball court and a big front lawn. We can throw the Frisbee, or kids can just hang around in their hammocks. There's nothing they need to be doing. They just need to be out of their cabins and just kind of around camp. Dinner's at 6:30, followed by our evening meeting. And that's when we choose activities for the following day. So as the camp director, I'll plan 6 activities for the following morning, 6 activities for the following afternoon. During our big circle meeting on the front lawn, I'll explain if we're going on a mountain biking trip or a mountain biking ride. I'll explain how hard it's going to be, how challenging the hike's going to be, so kids get a sense of what they're getting into. And then I'll say, all right, who wants to go wakeboarding and water skiing tomorrow morning? And if that's what you want to do, you raise your hands. If we have too many, if we can only take 8 kids on the boat and 10 kids want to go, we have a little lottery system. If you don't get your first choice, you're guaranteed your second choice. But more importantly, your name gets written on a list, and then you're guaranteed to be on that activity the next time that it's offered. So we go through that process of choosing activities for the following day. So kids choose their activities that night for the following day, which teenagers really like. They like that choice, that sort of self-determination of what's coming up, but not sort of planning it weeks in advance or sort of a checklist, with mom and dad before they even arrive at camp.
Right.
And then after that process is done, we move on to our evening activity. And those are really fun. Bonding time. We have a lot of silly, fun evening activities. We have a costume box that, there's a costume for everybody if they want it. And so it's super fun. During the day, we're split up, and 8 kids are doing wakeboarding, water skiing, 12 are going rock climbing, etc. At night, so at meal times, during the power hour of freedom, and in the evening for our evening activity, we're all together. And that's really sort of the bonding time of camp, where you get to sort of be with your different groups. And anytime, you have the first people you get to know at camp, well, I guess we'll finish the day first.
Okay.
So after the evening activity is done, we meet in the dining hall around 9:45, 10 o'clock for a snack to sort of wind down. And then it's heading up to your cabins, brushing your teeth. And hopefully by then, they're tired.
Hopefully. Oh, I know you're tired, and the counselors are tired, and everybody else is tired. Oh my God. Yeah.
Totally.
No, at my camp, I'm a division leader with 10-year-old girls, and I think there's no way I could be the teenagers because I'm like the old lady. I'm so tired. So yes, hopefully, and if you've done your job, they are tired.
That's right.
So with 60 kids, is it broken up pretty evenly between like boys and girls, 30-30?
We limit our enrollment so that it's equal. Correct.
Okay. And how are then, and again, I just ask these questions because you're so small. How do you then break it up? Or is it just girls and boys and they're multi-age, just depending on the activity, or how are they separated?
So cabins are separated obviously by gender, but also by age. So we have sort of younger, middle, and older cabins in each gender. So 3 cabins each, 10 kids each cabin, 1 counselor in each cabin at night. On activities, they're broken up just by what they sign up for.
Okay.
And so, a new camper, when they arrive at Stone Mountain Adventures, they get to know the kids in their cabin first. That's that's a natural fit. They'll get to know their kids in their crew next, because they're together every morning.
So what's the crew? When you say in their crew, what does that mean?
I talked about that earlier when they do the chores each morning.
But I didn't know, how are they? So they're just broken up, like the crew. How does that? You say with the
good question. So we choose the crews. So you're assigned a crew, and we're really intentional about, as much as we can, be intentional about helping kids meet new people and feel comfortable at camp. And so anytime that we're creating a list of kids for an evening activity, for crew, we're really intentional about, all right, let's split up these girls who are in the younger girls' cabin. So they're meeting new people. Maybe they'll be in there with one other person. So there's a comfort level there. We talk a lot about Stone Mountain Adventures about helping kids transition from being new and feeling new to feeling connected at camp. The mission of Stone Mountain Adventures is to provide growth experiences for our campers through our awesome camp activities and the cooperative group process of living together at camp. I recognize as camp director, Jud, that none of those lofty goals that my staff and I have for our campers can begin to happen until kids have made that transition from being new and feeling new to feeling connected. And so we have like a little mantra, or a little saying that I share with my staff and our returning campers, that the experience that a new camper has in the first 2 minutes, 2 hours, and 2 days that they're at Stone Mountain Adventures has a huge overall impact on their overnight camp experience. Which sounds obvious, right? Duh, of course, the first 2 minutes, 2 hours, and 2 days, the experience they have there is going to have a big influence on their overnight camp experience. But by keeping it in the forefront of our mind and having a little mantra that we sort of repeat, is that we don't miss an opportunity to help a kid make that transition. And it helps us be really intentional about everything that we're doing in those first 2 minutes, 2 hours, and 2 days, so that we're trying to accelerate that process of kids making friends and kids making and kids feeling comfortable at camp. And we accelerate that process by not missing an opportunity, but by also, fun team building games and get to know you games and all the stuff that, that is fun, but also definitely has a real purpose.
And I think there's so much benefit to mixing the ages. That 12-year-old is going to look up to that 16-year-old and like to feel that big sister, big brother kind of relationship that, you get from the attention of an older camper or an older peer. So I find that, and especially when you have a 12-year-old for their first time at camp, when they can look at one of the older campers and hey, I've been here, done that. It's definitely, there's so much value in that. Do you find that you have, in like the bell curve, equal numbers of like young versus the 16, or are they, that by the time sometimes you're 16, they're not choosing not to go back to camp? So how do you feel that works for you?
So in general, if you look at, in general, certain sessions, it works out that it skews older or skews younger. But in general, we have about the same number of 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds and fewer 16-year-olds, but still some.
Right. And it's nice that you do, focus on the teens, because as they get older, they have other activities, the other things they want to do. They're playing sports. So to be able to like check out for 8 weeks is a lot. And to be able to go for 2 weeks, definitely, it gives them a lot more flexibility.
For sure.
How many of your campers come back as staff?
So out of those 16 staff, we usually have about 5 who are former campers. And we recently started like a staff development program, a CIT type program. We call it an AOP, Aspiring Outdoor Professionals.
Oh, I like that. Aspiring Outdoor Professional.
Yeah. So we actually had just started that last summer. It's kind of been in the works for a while, but with shortage of staff and the sort of changing dynamics with that, we started that last year and it was very successful, and we're going to do that again this year. And because usually given the activities that we offer and the level of responsibility our staff have, we usually require staff to be 21 years of age or older. So if your last year of camp is 16, you can't get back to your 21. That's a pretty good chunk of time. This is sort of fills the gap a little bit.
And what's nice is if they're choosing to come back at 21, they want to be there. They've tasted the sweetness of the summers off from college, and at 21, they're still saying, I want to come back to camp. And I think that's a lot to be said for your program. You as a leader, you want to be able to say jump, and you want your staff to say how high. And I've said it here before, there is no better or harder worker than a past camper. They know it, they get it.
And they want to pay it forward. They want to pay it forward. They want to pay it forward. They're so excited. Yeah, for sure.
Because you're getting ready to go on a hiring trip, overseas. And how much of your staff comes from like overseas with such a small staff? Do you hire a lot of internationals?
I would say about six or 7. And it's so fun to have international staff. I mean, it's fun. All staff are fun, but it's really fun to have international staff. It just kind of, it mixes everything up, and there's always something to talk about.
Right. And it can be a little bit of, I feel like with international staff that just don't have the camping experience, it can be a little bit of like a deer in the headlights. So having those campers as staff, not only helps the campers, but it's also the staff. Like, hey, listen, you're gonna survive. It's gonna be great. You're gonna be the best summer of your life. You just don't know it yet. But
totally. So we do a 10-day staff training before camp begins. So we bring all our staff in earlier. I took over Stone Mountain Adventures. I came back as a director in 2001, bought the business from my parents in 2008. And at that time we were doing a 7-day staff training, which was awesome. And so we decided to pump it, to add some days on and bring it up to 10. And I felt like it was such a good decision. The cornerstone of every great summer at Stone Mountain Adventures and every camp in America is a great staff team. I believe that. And so more that I can invest in our staff, that we can invest in our staff, and have them together more as a group, have them really prepared for the summer. It doesn't cost a whole lot more to add 3 days onto a staff training. It's it's time is what it really is. And after 10 days, we've done all the activities. We've done 2 camping overnights, because we do camping overnights once a week with our campers. We're ready for the kid. We're ready for the kids. And it's funny. It sort of feels like, after 10 days of staff training, it sort of feels like, well, we could keep doing this for like 3 more weeks. And I don't think we're just, there's like at some point we just got to get going.
Right.
I always tell my staff that the first sort of week of camp is like a continuation of staff training.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's that's sort of the expectation. Of course, I don't tell all my parents that, but that's the reality. And so, it's continuing to learn and continuing to figure out how exactly we do things. And obviously, at that point, you're implementing things that you've learned during staff training. So we continue to train all summer, really.
Yeah, because you're training the kids. You've trained the staff, and then the first week you're training, the kids with the rules and expectations, and like,
totally.
And then by the time everybody's in your groove, then it's like, see you next summer.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So what's the future like for Stone Mountain Adventures? You bought it in 2008. What's next? What does the next 20 years hold, Jud?
As I look off into the future,
Right.
I mean, I think it's continuing to do what we do better. We're not looking to get bigger. Our biggest growth area right now is mountain biking. Mountain biking is growing across the United States. If you look at NICA, the National Intercollegiate Mountain Biking Association, the number of high school and middle school mountain biking teams, they continue to grow. It's the fastest growing sport in high school right now.
Wow.
And so we're continue to capitalize on that. I think, just continuing to do what we do, but just do it better in a sustainable fashion. Even with a small camp, if I didn't spend a lot of time marketing in 20 years, who knows where Stone Mountain will be. But just doing what we do and doing it better.
Yeah. How have you guys faced after? Did you guys close in 2020 for pandemic? How have you come out?
We were able to run. We were able to run in 2020. Limited. I know we had to wait till our county went green. Pennsylvania had like a sort of red, yellow, green. We had to wait till our county went green, and then we were able to run a limited enrollment. It was an incredible summer. We were COVID free, and it wasn't the most profitable summer, but that's not what's important. What's important is the momentum that we kept, the kids that we served.
Right. It would have been a lot less profitable if you didn't open. So there you go. Right.
That's right. So it was, yes, we were able to run in 2020, 2021, again, we were able to run COVID free. That was awesome. And then 2022 was one of our enrollment wise, or one of our strongest years ever.
Wow. That's great. Great.
The pent up demand for real authentic experiences.
Yeah. So how do you find that post pandemic camp meets the needs that these kids have now, like these challenges that teenagers are faced? How are you seeing it at camp, and what are the benefits that SMA provides these kids?
It's always been hard to be a teenager. There's never been a time ever in the world that it hasn't been hard to be a teenager, right? You're going through so many transitions in life. Your role in your family is changing, your body's changing so much. But I honestly believe that it's never been harder to be a teenager than it is right now. And so the need for an experience like Stone Mountain Adventures, or I'm just an advocate for summer camps. So an overnight camp experience has never been more valuable for teenagers than it is right now. And I really believe that. And I think families recognize that. And I think the overnight camp experience at Stone Mountain Adventures is really valuable for kids. I think the potential for growth, the potential for kids to discover a new passion, make friends, have fun, challenge themselves, is really important. And I think Stone Mountain Adventures and overnight camps provide that.
Are you a phone-free zone?
We are a phone-free zone.
Right. That in itself, just like send my kids off and get them off their phones.
But what's remarkable, and you may experience this if you, I don't know, is that especially for teenagers, the idea of not having their phone, right? The idea that this phone is not going to be, part of their life for the next 2-4 weeks. The idea of that is like, I don't know if I can handle this. But the actual implementation of that is shockingly easy, I think, for teenagers, because they're not the only one. They're not the only one that doesn't have their device. Nobody has a device. And it turns out that all these fears that us old folks have about teenagers in this generation, like, oh, they text each other when they're in the same room or whatever, all the fears that we have about their lack of good communication skills and interpersonal skills, it turns out none of that's really an issue. If you remove the phones, and at a place like Stone Mountain Adventures where there's no phones, it's a complete non-issue.
Right. I mean, my husband texts me right from the other when we're in different rooms. If you're working, it just tends to be like,
yeah,
we don't pick it up. So yeah. So with a group of teenagers, what's their favorite activity that that everybody needs to be on the waiting list for? What would you say?
Wakeboarding and water skiing is awesome.
Right.
That's definitely high up there.
They either love it or hate it. They either want to do it or they're too afraid.
Yeah, but almost everybody loves being on the boat, right?
Right.
Whether or not they get up on the wakeboard or not, everybody loves being out on the boat, on the water, and that sort of thing.
True.
Canoeing and kayaking is always popular. It's pretty chill float. Sometimes we get out of the canoes and just float down the river in our PFDs, and you wear one PFD like a diaper on your bottom half.
That's a personal flotation device.
Yes, a life jacket. Yes.
Okay, life jacket. You got to speak the the layman's terms here.
Yes, life jacket. And sometimes you wear 2 life jackets. You wear one like a diaper and the other one up here, and you just float on down the river. And recently, kind of during the Power Hour of Freedom, spike ball is super popular at Stone Mountain Adventures.
I'm not familiar with that game, but is that a game where you try to hit?
So there's it's like
you have dodgeball?
No, you have it's usually played with 4 people, and you have probably a circle that's about 3 feet in diameter with a net in the middle, and you're spiking it down. So if you and I were on the same team, I would we'd set balls back and forth, and then one of us would spike it down and bounce it off of the net that's in the middle of the circle, and then the other sort of team of 2 has got to kind of volley it back and forth and then spike it. So you're trying to, so it's called spike ball.
When you say a game like spike ball, and I think teenagers, I'm thinking all of your aggression and black eyes and balls in the face, kind of like.
No, I'd say generally a non-contact sport.
Okay, got it. Now, so do you personally have kids that will hopefully be as enthusiastic about camp as you were?
I have a 16-year-old named Wyatt, who's a camper every summer at Stone Mountain Adventures and also does his own camp. And then my daughter Molly is 14, and she's also a camper at Stone Mountain Adventures, as well as has her own camp that she goes to that my cousin actually runs.
Oh, so now camp is in your blood. Little did you know that starting at 10 years old, I know once you get a taste of the camp life, it's hard to go back, right?
Hard to go back.
You just love it. And do they love camp? So they come for a 4-week session, just like the rest of the kids?
They haven't committed to how long they're going to go again this summer. They have they have other friends and other stuff going on.
They're teenagers.
They are teenagers. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old too. So we speak the same
language.
Totally, 100%. Well, Jud, I want to thank you so much
Mm.
for joining us today, or joining me today in the HC on the My Camp
Yeah, you're
podcast. I
welcome,
want to
Courtney.
wish you safe travels, because you are getting ready to go on an amazing vacation slash
Yeah,
hiring trip, ski
yeah.
trip. We won't, whatever. Go
Yeah, well, a
to
little bit of skiing,
Leisure.
a little bit of hiring. Well, Courtney, it's so nice to meet you. Thanks
You
for taking time.
too. Thank you again for being here. And guys, if you want to hear more about, listen to more of the My Camp podcast, you can listen to it where you listen to your podcasts, on Apple Music or Spotify. And Happy Camper Live has an amazing YouTube channel. Go ahead and check it out. And I'll join you. Hopefully you'll join me next time here in the Girls HC, and I'll save us more for you.
Bye.
Take a moment to shine.